Are you stuck at home on a Saturday night with nothing to do again?
I can't take it anymore!
Then join me, my co-hosts, and my guests every Saturday evening for Mic Check Radio with Adam Hebert.
Okay.
Together we'll discuss the big news of the week from entertainment and politics, talk about the issues that are on your mind, and hey, we'll even talk about general stupidity and jackassery from the American right.
You stupid jackass!
So join me every Saturday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. Central at my Ustream home, Mic Check Radio. Come on in, it'll be loads of fun.
Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending. I love a happy ending.
Live on all the interwebs and internets, it's Mic Check Radio with Adam Hebert.
Fuck yeah!
I'm back, baby!
Crap! Oh shit! That was stupid. Okay, I'm sorry about that. My mic was off. Okay, as I was saying, we are back, baby. After a week off for what we called our
Vacany moon.
We are back. And I will tell you this, I will never, ever take another break again unless I actually have to, because there was a whole shitload of news. I mean, we missed one of the biggest stories of the entire election cycle last week with that jackass. Well, let's be honest, he's an asshole. Oh, and I forgot to mention, John, we have no FCC regulations. You are free to swear as much as you like. In fact, I encourage it because otherwise you may have a fatal heart attack from the stress. So,
okay.
I should have mentioned that, sooner, and I apologize. Yes, we have no FCC standards here. We don't even really have standards to begin with. But yeah, so this is Mic Check Radio. Joining me is my friend John Kendall from the University of Montana. How are you doing tonight, John?
I am doing great. Just getting ready to let the right have it.
All right, that's the and the thing is that I'm friends with several Republicans, and I have no problem if you're a Republican, because to me, when I think of Republican, I think of Dwight Eisenhower, who was a damn good president, especially for the military, because I think he had an understanding of what going to war meant, because he lived through war. So he weighed his decisions very carefully in terms of the military, but he was also good for the country economically. The baby boom happened under his presidency. We became the single largest economic power in the world under his presidency. So I'm not, just because we are liberal talk doesn't mean it's Republican bad.
Yeah.
But they have some stupid people, such as Todd Akin. Is it Akin? Aiken? I hear both. We're gonna say Aiken.
Yeah, because Aiken, because he should be Aiken when they kick his ass out of whichever state he's running.
He is running in for the Senate in Missouri, and the thing about this is that after his statement, which let's hear what set off this shitstorm of epic proportions, shall we?
Yep.
And if you can't hear anything, I need to know as soon as possible. Don't hesitate to say, Adam, you idiot, I can't hear, because, I'm literally still in boxes. I still am not packed. So, here we go. Todd Akin.
Okay, so if an abortion could be considered in a case of, say, a tubal pregnancy or something like that, what about in the case of rape? Should it be legal or not?
Well, you know, people always want to try and make that as one of those things. Well, how do you slice this particularly tough sort of ethical question? It seems to me, first of all, from what I understand from doctors, that's really rare. If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. But let's assume that maybe that didn't work or something. You know, I think there should be some punishment, but the punishment ought to be on the rapist and not attacking the child.
Oh my God. Legitimate rape? Really? Penalty box for Mr. Aiken, please. There is no legitimate or illegitimate rape. It's rape. There is only rape. No means no. It's like, you know, Hal Sparks. I should have pulled this clip from Charmageddon. Hal Sparks, John, in case you don't know, is one of my comedy icons. I look up to the man. In Charmageddon, he said, there's no such thing as date rape. Once the rape starts, date's over. And he's not marginalizing rape. He's just saying that date rape is an oxymoron. Once the rape starts, date's over. Maybe I'll pull that, see if I can pull that clip during our first break. But and then of course he doesn't do himself any favors. He says, I misspoke, but he doesn't apologize. And I should have pulled that audio, and of course I didn't. But I mean,
yeah, during the human sexuality course here at the University of Montana, you know, they and everybody knows now that the university has like this huge giant football player rape extravaganza. Anyway, like, the difference between rape and sexual assault is like, you know, rape involves penetration, okay? The only defense a female has against rape is, you know, trying the hardest to get the hell out of there. Okay? And wherever he is getting his facts, he is extremely wrong.
Tell me about it. Apparently, he was thinking of duck vaginas. Stephanie Miller touched on this because, like ducks, you know, they can twist. They have like a maze. It's like human women don't have that. But Rob in the chat, Tenos009 has it on the head. He said what most Republicans think, and that's why Rove wants to throw him under the bus. Rove being, of course, Karl Rove, alias Bush's brain, alias Turd Blossom, alias why isn't he in jail getting it up the ass for treason?
Alias Satan? No. I'm sorry. That is great offense to Satan.
Penalty box. But I mean, she's, you know, there's this month, you know, people think it's unfair to call the American right the American Taliban. No, it's not, because if you look at their attitudes, the only difference is the religion.
Yeah.
The Taliban, Muslim. The American Taliban, Christian. But they agree on almost everything. And
yeah, and go ahead.
And it's just, Jesus Christ. And of course, he has right-wing people, you know, he's taking the whole GOP down. Take a listen to this. This is from GOP Senate candidate Tom Smith in Pennsylvania. Oh, I guess I have to hit play. Sorry.
Well, how would you tell a daughter or a granddaughter who God forbid would be the victim of a rape to keep the child against her own will? Is that something that you would? I mean, do you have a way to explain that?
I lived something similar to that with my own family. She chose life, and I commend her for that. She knew my views, but fortunately for me, I didn't have to. She chose the way I thought. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't rape. She did.
Similar how?
Having a baby out of wedlock.
That's similar to rape?
No, but
So he's comparing a girl, because this was his teenage daughter, I believe, having sex outside of marriage, getting pregnant, and making the choice, keyword, she chose life, to rape. I was arguing, look, no one is for abortion. No one goes up to Planned Parenthood and says, I really want to have this abortion. Hook me up. It is a painful experience. It is mentally painful, emotionally painful, and no one enjoys it. I was arguing with my good friend War, who will be joining us at the top of next segment, so a little after half of the hour. And he's making the case to ban abortion. I said, War, you can't claim to be for abortion or for freedom and turn around and say, but I'm going to legislate your choice away.
Yeah.
Part of freedom means accepting the fact that people are going to make decisions you are personally opposed to. Sorry, that doesn't mean you get to go and take away their choices until they only have your choice left. That's not freedom, that is slavery. And we went on and on and on about this for about an hour. And I get what he does. He plays devil's advocate. I don't think he's pro-life. But I said, if you're truly pro-life, you're not just for the baby before, you're not just for the fetus. You are for the baby that's born, the child that's going to become, the teenager it's going to become. You're not going to say, I'm pro-life and then vote against food stamps, for example, or WIC, or making college affordable for that child. I understand that there are people who have been raped and made the choice to carry that child to term, and God bless them for that, because that is a symbol of strength, if you ask me.
And, they say that, a woman is like the strongest person in the world, and, I mean, with all of that, of course they are. And, I mean, it is a life-changing decision, and, the GOP should stay out of their vaginas with their flashlights saying, oh, hey, we're going to put a dam in here so you can't do anything. It's ridiculous.
Right, and it's like I said, I am not saying, look, I could never tell my sisters, for example, I think you need to get an abortion. I would personally be opposed to it, but the ultimate decision rests with them, with the person carrying the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest beefs with the Republican Party is they always say, freedom! America, fuck yeah! We're for freedom! Of course no one's opposed to freedom. Everyone loves freedom. The problem is they don't love freedom. Freedom to them is a buzzword.
Yeah.
Because they're not, look at their platform. They are not for gays being allowed to marry if that is what they so wish. They're against abortion. They want to ban common forms of birth control such as the pill. They want to ban in vitro fertilization. They want to ban stem cell research. So they want to say that if you get, let's say you have in vitro fertilization, those extra eggs get frozen. And they want us to tell you, no, you can't choose to donate those eggs for scientific research. Rob has it again. Freedom for them, not everybody else. Or, as I like to put it, freedom for me, not for thee.
Oh, well done.
Thank you, thank you. I couldn't applaud myself. That just doesn't feel right. Well, thank you. Thank you. There we go. Oh, crap! Stop! I'm sorry.
No problem.
My box is out of control.
Uh-oh. If your box is out of control, you better watch it.
I had to, because I use a program and it wouldn't work, I had to reinstall it, and use a different database. So I lost all my information. I had to put everything back in by hand. But of course, the Republican Party, they're plowing forward. Here is I don't know if I should save Dana Loesch for later or not, but crap. But the bottom line is, again, freedom for the modern Republican Party. And I'm not saying that if you register Republican, you toe the party line. What I don't understand is how, if you are a true libertarian, how could you ever vote Republican after the Bush years?
Yeah.
How could you?
Well,
I mean,
I'm going to reveal a little factoid about me right here.
By all means, say whatever.
I actually voted for W in 2004. Okay, after that monstrosity,
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm on a one-track road to...
It's okay. No, look. I mean, I'm not for telling people who to vote for, but I think in this election there's a clear choice. If you don't like what W did to this country, why the fuck are you gonna vote for Mitt Romney? Because he has said, I'm just gonna do what Bush did. Only more of it, more war, more deficits, more tax cuts for the obscenely rich.
Yep.
Less, and if you look at the specifically for abortion, every year of the Clinton presidency, abortion ticked down. Every year of the Bush presidency, it ticked up.
Yeah.
As Ronald Reagan once said, facts are pesky little things.
Yeah, they are, because they usually get them in trouble.
Well, the thing is this. No, as I said before, no one is for abortion. No one is going to say, I'm going to have me an abortion. Woohoo!
Yeah.
But the true libertarian position is, I don't agree with your decision, but it's your decision to make.
Yeah, and, I mean, I used to be obscenely pro-life. But now, with everything going on, in our world today, it's hard to be pro-life when, you're hearing all these stories about, young women getting raped and, them being forced by a single part of the government to be like, oh no, you can't go in there and do that, We've already made your choice for you. And, it's ridiculous because, life is based on choices, everything you do, to the grocery store, to the colleges and everything, life is just one big freaking choice. And, next they're probably going to regulate, what college you can go to, You live in Montana, you go to either University of Montana or you don't.
Well, I mean, Mitt Romney has already said he's gonna repeal Pell. He wants to get rid of Pell, which makes college affordable for millions upon millions of students, such as myself. If Mitt Romney has his way, I will not be able to finish my college education, and I will be saddled with about $45,000 of debt.
Well, but, I mean, Mitt Romney, when his kids go to college, he can pull that money out of his pocket, But for people like you and people like me, who don't have money trees growing in the back of our backyards, we can't, go over to the financial aid office and be like, oh, hey, yeah, here's $45,000, I'm paying for my college.
Mitt Romney says, borrow money from your parents. My father's a military contractor, and before that, he was in the he was a staff sergeant in the Army. He had to work 2 jobs, and they barely scraped by. I mean,
and
now, of course, I'm sorry.
Same with my parents, like being in Montana, we're not part of the oil boom town. I grew up in a small town called Drummond. My home is 50 miles away from where I go to school. And, Granite County is a poor county. But, my parents have, decent jobs. But, like I said, we don't, in our backyard, we do not have the Mitt Romney money tree that apparently everybody else should have. but they won't release that, so, you know, it's, I don't know, like, I have a huge thing with education, like, you know, education should be for everyone, not just for, you know, the Mitt Romneys or, you know, your other giant barons of money. So why should we be like, oh, hey, you know, we'll just go out to our money garden, our money orchard, and just pay for this? Because we can't.
Right.
And I don't know, like, that's just like the funny thing with, like, you know, with it being hard times, you know, we can't always go, you know, have that extra, you know, $5-10, you know, for, you know, if we get tired of campus food, you know, we can go off campus and be like, oh, hey, you know, I've got this $5-10, you know. It's impossible because the prices are rising and it's just ridiculous. And, like, allow me to play devil's advocate. If Mitt Romney gets in, you know, he's a businessman. He's going to turn the USA into a business.
Right, and it's important to note that the USA is not a business. Countries are not businesses. We've had a businessman president in the last decade. George W. Bush. Before George W. Bush, Herbert Hoover. Geez, what was Herbert Hoover famous for? It was the great something. It was the Great Depression. That's it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Thank you. Yeah, but, you know, the country isn't a business, and you know, yeah, I'm sorry, but no, I mean, and of course the Republicans are circling the wagons around Todd Akin. But the great thing about the Akin story is, within one day, he was polling behind Claire McCaskill. Now, he's recovered somewhat. He's pulling ahead a little. But before this happened, he was up by 10 points. Now it's a 1 or 2 point race. You know, let's give it to the people in Missouri. They're getting it. They got it. And I'm honest, if it's a 1 or 2 point race on election day, Claire McCaskill will win re-election. You heard it here first. Claire, if it is within, I'm gonna expand that. If it's within the margin of error, which can be from anywhere from like 2 to 5 to 6 percentage points, if it's within the margin of error, Claire McCaskill will win re-election. That is my prediction. You heard it here first.
Yeah, and like if he wins, you know, that's a huge if. If he wins, you know, Missouri is going to be a terrible state. And like a terrible state of disarray, because I mean, you know, what's to say he isn't gonna introduce legislation to shut, you know, abortion clinics down? And, you know, taking away that choice away from people.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Well, you know, good on, you know, at least you're thinking it through clearly. All right, we are approaching the bottom of the segment, so we are going to get ready to take a break. Coming up after this, we're going to talk about Neil Armstrong. He passed away this last week. Another big story I missed out on. And we're going to bring in War, who will hopefully be joining us for the rest of the show. Again, Wes will not be joining us because, work-related bullshit. There's a small chance he'll make it, but it's not looking good. Anyway, this is Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert, special co-host, John Kendall, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. See you then.
Do they have Mike Check Radio in the spirit world?
As a matter of fact, they do not.
This is Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert.
Unfiltered truth, news, and opinion. Filter-free radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
You can always go back to Rome and Greece, and then let's face it, kingdoms. You know, it wasn't until a couple hundred years ago that we realized that, hey, monarchies don't work. Let's think of another kind of system of governance. You know, it's something a little less hierarchical, if you will, or at least concentrated power. Then again, when you're dealing with money, capitalism is about money and the exchange of money, then concentrated power works really well.
Radio or not, and filterfreeradio.com. Are you living in a progressive talk void? If so, be sure to visit leftwingradiosstations.com. The state-by-state listing is a quick and easy way to find any left-wing talk radio station across America, from sea to shining sea. Your progressive talk nirvana is only a click away at leftwingradiosstations.com. Be sure to like Left-Wing Radio Stations on Facebook and share it with your friends. leftwingradiosstations.com. United we stand.
The body of a child, the brain of a genius, the 2000 IQ Killjoy detective.
It's Adam Hebert with Mike Check Radio.
There we go. I revised that liner a bit. I finally got a hold of the soundtrack for that game, so I ripped the soundtrack and added it so it, kept going for a bit. Anyway, we are back. Joining me as a super special guest co-host is John Kendall, and we are about to bring War into the call. Let me double check, make sure he's ready. I hate typing with one hand. I need to find a way to expand my workspace. There's no way around it. Yeah, just so everyone knows, as I mentioned, the reason why we were on break last week was because Wes was going to be going out somewhere with his girlfriend for the weekend, and I had to move back. Excuse me. I had to move back to the University, Champaign, Illinois, to attend the University of Illinois, and we just decided no point getting, if neither of us are available, why bother having the show? I wasn't going to ask Kenny to co-host. So, War says he is ready, so let us bring him in. Add people to this call. So, yeah. John, how was your first segment of guest co-hosting?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, getting my opinions out there and stuff.
Good. You did just fine. War, are you there, sir?
I am.
Thank you very much for joining us. I feel bad for harassing you like that, but all of a sudden I get a text from Wes saying he can't make it because work is making him stay until 10 o'clock, so 10 his time. And of course, that's when the show ends. So I was like, damn it, I need to find someone else. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you were going to be on originally anyway, but I was like, we're going to bring War on as soon as possible. And of course, thank you to our wonderful audience. 4 people so far, and I suspect we're going to get more. I think we're going to do okay tonight. But let's talk about the passing of an American icon, and I'm not talking about Clint Eastwood's career. We'll talk about that more later. This story broke literally as I was getting on my plane. As I was that was Friday. I was at the station trying to get to the Museum of Science and Industry, and the news broke. And Neil Armstrong had passed, and another reason why I wish we'd been on the air last weekend, but nothing that could be done. We don't have a time machine. No one's developed the flux capacitor, the thing that makes time travel possible. So, we can't, Great Scott! Go back and forth throughout history. But we can, however, discuss this. I dug up some audio from the original. One of the things that I learned was the moon landing almost didn't happen. There were troubles, and they almost aborted the mission because, the module only had so much fuel, and they were having trouble finding a good landing place. So, they almost aboard. Where is it? So, first of all, here is a clip from that. You can hear Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mission Control in Houston.
Altitude, velocity, light. 8.5 down, 220 feet. 15 forward. 11 forward, coming down nicely, 200 feet. 4.5 down, 5.5 down. Within 60 feet, 6.5 down, 5.5 down. 9 forward. Good. In 20 feet. 100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. 5%. How many bites? 75 feet. That's looking good, down a half. 6 forward. 60 seconds. Lights on. 6. Down 2.5. Forward. Forward.
I think I didn't realize just how long that clip was, but I mean, it was very hard and complicated. They were running low on fuel, and then all of a sudden Neil Armstrong sees a spot in the Sea of Tranquility, which is where they ultimately landed, and he overrode the computer and landed the LEM, the lunar module. So, of course...
Yeah, wasn't he doing calculations on the fly?
I'm not sure about that, but I do know that he manually landed that. So yes, he was probably doing calculations on the fly. And of course, this builds up to quite possibly one of the most iconic American moments, if not the most iconic moment.
Yeah, I'm going to step off the LEM now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And one thing that is important to note is most of the people hear that as one small step for man, and Neil Armstrong actually said for a man. He was referring to himself, and and then said that's one giant leap for mankind. Just the, because it's really bad audio, and of course 60s, he's calling from the moon. Yeah, the audio is going to be kind of crappy. So
it's kind of funny listening to that. I mean, it wasn't like I would have been, able to hear that myself, but still, that's so iconic that I still sometimes get chills when I hear him say it. Just imagining that part of a history.
They have a video about the landing at the Museum of Science and Industry, and this was before I learned he'd passed, because I was just going around the museum, and I cried when I heard that line. It was just an iconic American moment. John, any thoughts?
Yeah, it is really sad that that he passed, and it's to see that clip, I got chills up my spine, just hearing that. And, with that being said, it's kind of sad how, an astronaut or, something that matters is not on the list of what people want to be anymore.
No. Yeah, it is sad. When I was a kid, everyone wanted to grow up to be a paleontologist.
Well, I mean, and anymore it's just like, oh hey, can we get on TV? And that doesn't matter. They should be doing stuff, learning math and science. Although I hate them both,
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and I'm all for American greatness. America, fuck yeah. I honestly, if we tried to do something like this again today, considering the horrible state of our educational system, I don't think it's possible to repeat that. I mean, we could get to the moon, but I'm just saying that, for example, I don't see us landing on Mars anytime soon, landing a person on Mars, because we just don't give the teachers the resources that they need. And I know, War, you're probably saying that, bastard. But we need to emphasize math and science. We need to tell people, you know what? No, you're not going to become rich as a scientist. There's no fame. There's no power. But there is an entire universe out there for you to explore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we are behind scientifically, but I don't think that means that we're slowly reaching the point of Idiocracy, if anyone's seen that movie.
Well, now, War, we got to remember, we've got, about half of our Senate doesn't accept the fact of the theory of evolution.
Okay.
Which is the founding bedrock of modern biology. We are the laughing stock of the world because we're still arguing over evolution.
Well, I don't have a good answer for that. But I don't think that necessarily means that that's really an old person thing to say at this point, the evolution argument. I don't think there's the children of those people that might still be a bit, iffy about it, but I think overall, science has accepted that, and most people accept that, but it's just when those people go out and say, I don't believe in evolution on a grand stand like that, it looks stupid, in the same way that the Westboro Baptist Church makes all Catholics look stupid. It's just,
Wait,
it's not
they're Catholic?
Majority. No, who is? Whatever they are.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. And honestly, what they are.
I was going to say, if they're Catholic,
Christian in general.
Well, if they're Catholic, I was going to say Pope Benedict could score some points with me if he excommunicated their asses. But
that would be such a bold move if that's true, but so awesome.
Get out of here, you schmucks. But no, I mean, it is sad. And you know what? I can't help but feel, considering that he died from complications from his heart surgery, I think his death came too soon. And he was an American hero. There's no denying that. And I think, who's the next Neil Armstrong? I don't know. But, I mean, it was really sad. And I remember, like I said, when I got the news, it was just, it's a loss. It's a loss for the country. It's a loss for the world. And I mean, that wasn't just an American moment when we landed on the moon. That was a moment for the entire world. You had people all over the world watching this moment on TV, either at a shop window or at home, up at all hours of the night just to do this. And I saw Walter Cronkite, his, as he was anchoring it, and he's just tearing up. It was just such an awesome and powerful moment. And that was us, baby. That was America,
Yeah, like you said, America. Fuck yeah.
Yes. And believe me, I don't believe I don't think America has seen, its best days are behind it. I have hope. But part of that is we're going to have to just knuckle under and say, guess what? You may not like the theory of evolution, but your kids are going to learn it. Suck it up. Or leave the country. Go to a country where your superstitions can be taught in classrooms. Because the Bible is not a science textbook. And I have no problem teaching it as literature. I've read it. It's an okay book. A little on the violent side. Jehovah likes his death and destruction, but it's an interesting book. But it is not here. Let me put this in perspective. There are three facts that the Bible. There are three things the Bible claims are fact that we know aren't true. 1, the Bible claims bats are birds. 2, the Bible claims rabbits chew cud. And 3, the Bible claims pi is 3, when at the same time, the Greeks had estimated pi to its 7th digit. So
But have
have
they proven that pie is tasty?
Oh yeah, pie is definitely tasty. And Rob, another whammy. He says God is Santa Claus for grown-ups, and I say to that, amen. I just, like I said, we need to, the thing is that the right wing, and again, I don't mean, all Republicans, but a lot of these conservatives, one of the things is they hate being PC. Oh, we have a right to be offensive and offend people. I find evolution offensive. How dare you teach it? That sort of bullshit. And that's what we needed to say, but you just said we have the right to offend people, so fuck off.
Yeah, and, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to offend you, but if you offend us, you're a bad person.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, like I said, I definitely, he was 82, or maybe he was 83. No, I think he was 82. And he was a year younger than my oh, crap, I should have said that. Sorry, Grandma. It was definitely sad, and, I don't know what else to say. That was just such an awesome period in American history. And one thing we need to remind everyone is we got to the moon because of Project Paperclip, which was we basically went over every Nazi scientist's records with a fine-tooth comb. We said if you weren't directly involved with the Holocaust, we would get you out of Germany. You could come work for the U.S. government. And that is how we got liquid fuel rocket technology, which is how we got to the moon. So that's worth noting. But yeah, shivers up the spine. And it's not just the first time you hear it, it's every time you hear it. Did I lose anyone?
No,
I don't know.
Okay.
I was basking in the glory of your statement.
Yeah, me too. I now have a healthy tan glow.
That's... but yeah, so, well, I think we've had enough of the doom and gloom. America, fuck yeah. Rest in peace, Neil Armstrong, and thank you very much. I was going to save this for the next segment, but... Oh, and by the way, for the next segment, we will be having Nicole Bell from Crooks and Liars. I've been waiting this for weeks. She was supposed to be on earlier in August, and she had to cancel because she got sick. And here's hoping, knock on fake wood, that she doesn't have to cancel again. But I got into a Twitter fight with someone. And of course, it was a two-tweet exchange before I just said, I got what I want. I got her hate tweet. But so my reaction was to this, and here is a clip from, this is related to, okay, before we do this, who heard Mitt Romney go birther?
You lost me.
Hold on, let me get this. Birth. Alright, so here is Mitt Romney in Michigan telling a joke.
Now, I love being home in this place where Ann and I were raised, where both of us were born. Ann was born at Henry Ford Hospital. I was born at Harper Hospital. No one's ever asked to see my birth certificate. They know that this is the place that we were born and raised.
Wow. A candidate for president just went birther.
Yikes.
And of course,
I think in his defense, he just made a terrible joke that he should have thought further about. I don't think he honestly believed believes that Obama didn't come from
No,
where he said.
I don't think he believes that either. I think Mitt Romney's a smart man. He's smart enough to know that appeals to stupid people. So he's kind of nudging him. I'm like you. I believe the same as you. He's lying. But, alright, so here's Dana Loesch, one of Andrew Breitbart's disciples, evil stepchildren,
Flunky.
Hellspawn. Huh?
Flunky is the word you're looking for.
Flunky. Or floozy. And this is on The Dana Show.
That's the left collectively losing their minds because oh my gosh barbecue. Mitt Romney made a joke. He made a joke. The left likes to have a sense of humor, except when it comes to conservatives. When it comes to conservatives, we are no longer funny. We have no humor after conservatives talk. He was just making a joke. The Obama campaign sells mugs with birth certificates on them on their website. Give me a break. You people need to stop being all uptight. Did you just say you people? 86.
Hold on. I want everyone to get... Please, here's Dana Loesch's phone number. Please, by all means, give her a call.
People. 866-455-9797.
But hey, I got some nifty audio crack out of that deal. So of course, Stephanie Miller, who is one of my idols, she's a liberal talk show host out of Los Angeles. She's playing this all Monday. Or no, all Tuesday. And Chris Lavoie, her executive producer, is just, she says, we apologize for playing this and making fun of Dana Loesch. She says, no, we don't! So I went to Twitter after I listened to Stephanie Miller, and I tweeted, Stephanie Miller may have apologized, but I sure as hell won't when I play it for 3 hours Saturday night. Take that, biatch. And of course, she took the bait. I haven't even read the tweet because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disappointed. But she fell for the oldest trick in the book. Come on, it's like, let me see here. It's like this. Remember this from?
Now you see that evil will always triumph. Because good is dumb.
Oh, crap. Stop! Sorry about that. I mean, it's kind of like that. She fell for, and it was obviously bait. It was and I don't know. Should I? Should I open the tweet and read it right now?
Oh, yeah. No, this is a big reveal. Let's hear it.
I'm going to regret this because I'm pretty sure it's going to piss me off. But, I'm going, okay.
I hope it says thank you for listening to my show.
Uh-oh. Crap. Okay. Wes says he's definitely not going to make it. Not the reason why I checked into Gmail, but, so it's just you, me, and our guests for this evening. Oh, crap. Where is it? And maybe I should have read it sooner so I could print it off. I should get this thing framed.
I was just getting ready to say, you should totally print it off and frame it.
My first hate tweet!
Well, let's hear what it says first. It might be totally disappointing.
Well, that's why I didn't want to read it until today. I was like, because where is it? Twitter, Mistress Clarissa. Okay. Oh, it is on, bitch!
What did she say?
She said, too bad no one will hear it.
Oh.
Oh,
shit.
She just threw down the gauntlet. All right, we have to do this. All right, everyone, get your friends in here right now. We're going to prove this bitch wrong. We are gonna put this. Oh shit. We are gonna put this on a loop. Where is it? We're gonna be. Hold on. Mike and Raleigh had. Oh, come on. What? Hold on. Mike and Raleigh took that sound. Where is it? Oh. It is on now, you bitch! Oh, she went there.
Oh, no, she didn't. Snap, snap, snap.
Oh, I can't. Oh, what? You whore! Alright, here it is. Dana Loesch flies.
Take your army to the haunted forest and bring me that girl and her dog. Do what you like with the others, but I want her alive and unharmed. Now fly!
You know, she may have a point in that I don't really have much of an audience. But at least I don't say, "Oh my gosh, barbecue" on a nationally syndicated radio show. I have a bit more class than that. Oh, and I don't spell classy with a K. Or a triple K, for that matter.
Well, see, you may not have the most viewers, but you only let those with intelligence in, whereas they let
Damn
anyone
right.
in.
I told Ward, you're not going to be on my show until you pass an IQ test, and he took one past. Isn't that right, Ward?
Yeah, that is true.
You know,
it's quite stringent.
Yeah, it is on, though! We have to increase my audience!
You want a greater audience just so that you can insult her to a bigger group of people?
No, I want an audience to prove that bitch wrong! I don't care about that! I care about... She said no one will hear it. I'm gonna prove her wrong. I've got 4 people listening right now!
And they're probably all intelligent people, see?
They're all intelligent. They're all intelligent. I have the greatest audience in the world. You all have the Adam D. Hebert seal of approval. I shouldn't... that was actually kind of disappointing. I was expecting, like, misspellings and bad grammar, and all she did was she failed to capitalize.
Well, see, what kind of person fails to capitalize? I mean, if she wants to come in with an argument, you know, you gotta capitalize that stuff. Otherwise, you just don't come.
Yeah, well, anywho, we're gonna go to break. Joining me again, War, thank you for bailing me out. I appreciate it. John Kendall, my super special guest co-host for the show. We are gonna go to break, come back with, Nicole Bell from Crooks and Liars, and we're gonna begin our retrospective of the RNC. And one second. Cut the music, please. I just want to make this clear. We might be wading through some Santorum, so I need to make sure, you know, so we have to do this. And this is just a warning for everyone.
This is Dennis Moore Mellencamp with the National Mental Health Alert Warning System with a Santorum surge warning. A Santorum surge is now in effect alongside of a line and 100 miles either side of a line moving from Colorado to Missouri. Residents in these areas are advised to take Santorum surge precautions immediately, which include covering windows and doorways with plastic tarps and securing them with duct tape. Move children and small animals into bathtubs and shower stalls. Take any plants that might be affected by a surge in Santorum and cover with hefty bags. Align your pants to magnetic north. The National Mental Health Alert System will advise you when the threat of the Santorum surge is over.
So yeah, we will be going to break. We'll be back with Nicole Bell from Crooks and Liars. See you in a bit.
Unfiltered truth, news, and opinion. Filter-free radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. Live every Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Radio or not. And filterfreeradio.com.
I'm not claiming to have any answers, let alone the answer or a answer or a logical answer. I
don't even know my name.
Heck, I don't even know where I live.
That's the one.
But the point is just starting the conversation is where it starts. You just simply start talking about it, and then you start thinking about it, and then we're thinking about something that could bring about a real solution or a real change to really benefit a whole bunch of people, rather than a reality TV show that is as relevant as gossip on the Jersey Shore. It's garbage.
Force critical thought on people.
I want to look at things how they really are and talk about things how they really are, and maybe we can really solve some really serious problems with real solutions.
Filter-free radio, Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Radio or not. And filterfreeradio.com.
You never know who or what you'll hear when you listen to the Nicole Sandler Show at RadioOrNot.com.
Greg Palast, I realized as we were talking that actually we were supposed to do this on Wednesday, so thank you so much for bearing with me.
Well, I am thrilled that we were doing that. You jumped the other characters. Because, Nicole, I just think that your show is brilliant, and I want to thank you because my stuff may be prime time in Britain, but here I keep slamming into the electronic Berlin Wall, and you have snuck me across and into the information stream, and I hope that your listeners are aware of how important and precious your program is, so I want to thank you.
The Nicole Sandler Show, live Monday through Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, or podcast anytime at RadioOrNot.com.
The hell? Are you stuck at home on a Saturday night with nothing to do again?
I can't take it anymore!
Then join me, my co-hosts, and my guests every Saturday evening for Mic Check Radio with Adam Hebert. Okay. Together we'll discuss the big news of the week from entertainment and politics, talk about the issues that are on your mind, and hey, we'll even talk about general stupidity and jackassery from the American right.
You stupid jackass!
So join me every Saturday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. Central at my Ustream home, Mic Check Radio. Come on in, it'll be loads of fun.
Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending. I love a happy ending.
And now, live on your computer machine, it's Adam Hebert with Mic Check Radio.
Fuck yeah!
Sir, the radar, sir. It appears to be jammed. Jammed.
What the hell?
Raspberry. There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry.
Adam Hebert on Mic Check Radio.
I'm back, baby!
That is right, we are back. Break last week was nice, but it's good to be back in the saddle, let me tell you. That wasn't the liner I wanted to play, but okay. So we are back with me, of course, your host, and my special co-hosts for the show, War.
Whoop, I had it muted. That was my bad. Hey, how you going?
It's like, War. And, are you still recovering?
I am still recovering. I muted it just in case you could have heard my swears. So I didn't want it to come into your show.
And my friend from Missoula, Montana, student at the University of Montana, John Kendall.
Hello.
Okay, so I just talked to Nicole Bell. She is waiting. So let's bring her in. Let's talk about some RNC. I thought she was gonna cancel, but let's. Hello, Nicole Bell.
Yes.
You are live with me and my special guest co-hosts, War and John Kendall. Thank you for joining us on Mic Check Radio tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I think we can. don't know where to start. This was just one hell of a week. I think we can all agree, though, that it's really sad to watch someone you respect and deeply admire make a total fool of himself in front of a national audience. But enough about that. Let's talk about Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, let's talk about Clint Eastwood. I have to say, my overall takeaway of the entire convention is that the GOP has proven to the American people, without any doubt, that they are incapable of putting on a convention. So how the hell are we supposed to trust them to run the country?
Oh yeah, I mean it wasn't a brawl so much as is fracas a fair word? There was no fighting involved, but there was that Ron Paul problem.
There was a Ron and Rand Paul. There were multiple problems. There was a problem with scheduling it in Tampa during hurricane season. There was a problem with, accommodating this delegate fight that Rand Paul was launching. And the stuff that they were doing, if you look on Crooks and Liars on Tuesday, the dismissing of these delegates really was just bullying at its very worst.
Right. I'm not a Ron Paul supporter. I think the guy is nuts. But the fact of the matter is, he earned those delegates, and he had every right to have them seated and recognized. And it was, and for them to, and War, feel free to chime in. Just so you know, my friend War is a New York Republican, or I'd say Eisenhower-style Republican. But War, what do you think about that?
I'm libertarian for this election. I'm stepping backwards.
We're making progress, Nicole. We're making progress.
Well, I don't know if it's a progress to be a libertarian nowadays because of what the Republican Party has done to the libertarian brand. But I understand. I think that the way that the Republicans handled this convention kind of shows that what has come out of the Republican Party in the last 10 years is a lot like Frankenstein's monster. They've created this thing. They did build that, and they don't know how to control it. And the only way that they do what they can is to beat it into submission, and that's what you saw with the delegates and the shouting down of the delegates on Tuesday. And I just think it really, again, proves that these are not people capable of running even a simple convention. I found it interesting.
Yeah, well, I found it disturbing. Like I said, I'm not a Ron Paul supporter, but the fact matters, he won those delegates fair and square, and you don't change the rules in the middle of the game. You don't play chess and charge in the board and say, crown me, like you're playing checkers.
But see, Republicans do that. That's exactly what they do. They lose, and so they change the rules of the game and say, you know what, we're going to make it a little more difficult for you to vote because we're afraid of voter fraud. You say, but okay, show me an example of voter fraud. And they go like, but that's not important. We know that it could happen.
Yes.
So they change the rules of the game all the time to suit themselves because they really aren't able to, operate on the marketplace of ideas.
Right.
So when you do that, when you have that, then you cheat.
Pretty much. But again, Ward, I'm really interested. What did you? Because I don't know. Did you see that, or did you hear about that from me? The Ron Paul.
Which one? The voter fraud thing, or
no. The thing about the Ron Paul delegates. I know I told you, but I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't get a chance to watch that day of the convention, but it's par for the course is kind of what I thought, and didn't really give any thought beyond that. That it's so stupid, but I don't know.
But doesn't that complacency? Isn't that sort of a dangerous thing to do? Because really, voting is the most fundamental right of being an American. Mm-hmm. And for them to so callously treat democracy that way To me, it's one of those things that there's few things that get me angrier than that. You can abuse children, dogs, I will come after you, but you start really messing with democracy, and that just gets me riled up. And it bothers me how complacent people are. Like, oh yeah, you know what, that's the Republicans.
Well, I mean, there is one really great way to describe, the Republicans and,
You're mental, aren't you?
Yeah, it was just, it was just craziness. And the thing is, okay, let's start with the theme of the convention. We did build this. No, you didn't. That stadium, or that convention center they were in was, I believe the number was 86% paid for by the federal government. And Nicole, if I make any mistakes, don't hesitate to pounce and, correct me.
That shouldn't take long.
That's not nice, War. The improvements to the town needed to facilitate all these people were financed by the government. The security, government. Mitt Romney and
Public
Paul
transportation.
Well, I don't know if you heard this, Adam. Actually, to stop you for a second, I was listening to a radio show in the morning when I go to work, and they tried to get one of their guys to go. They sent one of them down to Orlando, and they blocked off this huge section all around the convention. That means all the businesses, all of that, were all shut down. You couldn't even get in unless you happened to live in that area. And I've got to wonder who was paying for all of that, like all the businesses that went down that weren't allowed to be opened.
Well, it's coming off their bottom line. It's coming off their bottom line.
Exactly.
They're not getting compensated for that, unless I'm mistaken, which is possible. But I've never heard of a business being compensated because they were forced to close for an event like this.
No, they didn't even provide childcare for their delegates with children.
Ouch. Yep, they're war on women.
Exactly. But to be fair, and because this has been a rather large bone of contention with me and our Democratic White House people, is that at this time, the only thing that they're offering for the DNC is a list of child care options. They are not providing child care at the convention center either. So
yeah,
I do want to be fair. The optics of that, when you're trying to distinguish yourself from the Republican Party and the war on women, I don't think is very smart. Yeah. But that's what
I apologize
the DNC has chosen to do.
Well, it's kind of funny that they... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I want your thoughts.
Well, it's kind of funny to me that the way that a lot of times... I never planned to go to a convention or anything like that, but they all make it seem like the convention is for the delegates, but it's also for the people, when it's not. People can't even go anywhere near it. And I read somewhere that the Republican convention was supposed to be the most open one, or they were trying to be the most open one in history. And yet I still hear all these stories that no one can get within a 10-mile radius, and that there are cops with machine guns blocking off the specific entrances to it. It's just crazy.
We have to protect King Mitt,
Well, I mean, I don't want to begrudge. I understand politicians wanting to have security, and frankly, that if we want to go into what Republicans have built, we have built a society where owning a gun and carrying a gun is a foremost right, but also solving problems, solutions using a gun has become almost an American right. So I understand the desire for protection, because you've got a lot of angry, disaffected people out there. And a lot of people who think that the answer to their problems is using a gun. So I won't begrudge them that, because I'm not really eager to be shot myself. But the thing about conventions is it's not really about the delegation at all. It's not really about the party. It's not really about the base. It's about this small percentage of swing voters that have yet to decide who they're going to vote for. And it's selling your candidate and why your candidate should win. And in taken in that context, I think this convention was a massive fail on many, many levels.
So, what you're saying? Where is it? I'm just not doing well with my sound. So what you're saying is
an epic fail.
To pull out my Persona 4.
It absolutely was an epic fail. Because I don't think you have convinced any independent voters. I don't think that there's any swing voters who looked at that convention and all of the ugliness and all of the hatred and, frankly, all of the not talking about Mitt Romney and said, you know what, this may change my mind. Mitt Romney's my guy.
Yeah. Well, since you talked about the ugliness and hate, I want to discuss that. I do have a clip from Speaker John Boehner. I'm gonna show him the respect he wouldn't show us. So I'm not gonna call him the other term that liberals tend to call him, even though that is probably the proper way to say his name. But I want you guys to hear this and tell me if the Republicans would be okay if a Democrat had said this about, say, George W. Bush.
Telling his story. Turns out this guy ran a small business, got involved in it while he was in school. Then, out of nowhere, his business partner died. They had just one customer. So he fought like hell through sleepless nights and close calls, and they made it, thank God. Paid their dues, proud of what they've managed to do. Well, you know what we do with him, don't you? We throw him out.
So they're saying they're comparing Barack Obama to, and let me point this out. This is an unfortunate comparison because the fact that John Boehner is a drunk is the worst kept secret in Washington, D.C. So
I don't think that people watching him would question whether or not he was drunk at that very moment, frankly.
But
if you
this
saw the way he was swaying and gesturing, he looked drunk then.
Well, I mean, can you imagine them allowing a liberal to say that about George W. Bush, who was actually a drunk, who probably got thrown out of a fair amount of bars? Of course not. You're un-American. You're disrespecting the president and the presidency. They would never.
I think he was a drunk. Was being the key word.
That's true. No, that's true. He was not drinking anymore, supposedly. So in fairness to him, I think what they call that is a dry drunk. But he was no longer drinking alcohol. But the whole campaign, the whole convention, has been one really disgusting slur against this president after another. And one of the things that I had a conversation with some political consultants with over the week was, do you remember when the Dixie Chicks just said that they were embarrassed to be from Texas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was literally the worst thing possible. I mean, it was so unbelievably disrespectful to the office of the presidency for them to say they were embarrassed to be from Texas that people got together and burned their CDs. And they got death threats.
Threw rocks through their nursery, put their children in danger. But Ted Nugent says, we need to cut Democrats' heads off, or he talks about trying to kill the president if he gets reelected. Oh, but that's okay. The Dixie Chicks, that was, I wrote a piece on Daily Kos about that when that happened, because it just, the hypocrisy, and that's one of my things. I can deal with stupidity and jackassery, but hypocrisy just, it's like the Incredible Hulk. When we come back, we were originally going to do a bit, I've named Political Science Theater 2012, but since Wes isn't here and won't be coming, he's confirmed he won't be coming, we're just going to use some of these clips that I've got from the, various clips from the convention, Nicole, do you want to just hang on for the break, or do you want me to call you back? Which
No,
would work best for?
that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, we are going to go to break. This is my... Oh, and I just want to point out that our next guest, Mistress Clarissa, has joined the chat room. So I just want to say thank you, Mistress Clarissa, and everyone else in the chat room. We will do some shout-outs sometime in the foreseeable future. I'm still working on this, I promise. But yeah, and I just want to say thank you for joining us, Nicole, because I was like, oh, she just had to sit through this convention. There's no way she's gonna want to talk to us about it.
I am thinking about applying for some convent. I can't even talk combat pay for it.
Yeah. Well,
hi.
Watching some of those speeches gave me CTSD, current traumatic stress disorder.
She'll need to join a group like, my name is whatever, and I just went to the Republican National Convention. Just, oh, we're so sorry. Let us help you get you through this.
The room just goes silent. I'm so sorry for your loss, but no, I really do appreciate, because I was worried you thought I was hounding you. It's like, so.
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's go to break. This is the Green News Report break. So no fancy music. And I just want to point out that, just so everyone knows, all of our music does come from overclockedremix.org. Therefore, we can't, as far as I know, can't be sued. So, I hope that's correct. Anywho, let's go to break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. There we go.
You're listening to Adam Hebert,
a man with breathtaking anger management issues,
on Mike Check Radio.
It's Thursday, August 30th, 2012.
I woke up, it was fine. Next minute, it was just like all over the place. Everything underwater, everything.
This wasn't supposed to be a Katrina. It's turning out for the East Bank to be as bad, if not worse.
Flooding, evacuations, and levee breaching as Tropical Storm Isaac moves inland. But too little too late for Midwest farmers, and as House Republicans cut weather monitoring agencies. Hip deep in rhetoric at the Republican National Convention. Plus,
will this be a country that keeps moving away from foreign oil and towards renewable sources of energy like wind and solar and biofuels?
President Obama uses the C word.
All of that and more straight ahead. From BradBlog.com, I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Oh, the speeches, the pageantry, the fun. It was like Christmas morning if Santa kept all the gifts for himself and filled stockings with clean coal.
Yeah, I've been watching that Republican National Convention too. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Des, some very exciting news as we go to air today. Of course, you know that BP has a great interest in the Gulf Coast.
Indeed.
And in Louisiana. And the good news is that after the oil company made $7.7 billion in profit in the fourth quarter of 2011 and $6 billion in profit in the first quarter of this year, it has decided to donate to relief costs from Hurricane Isaac. They will be donating $1 million.
Ooh, a whole $1 million.
That's right. Very, very thoughtful of them.
Indeed. Well, Hurricane Isaac has weakened into a tropical storm again as it moves inland, still packing relentless rain and flooding and spawning a few tornadoes. President Obama has declared federal emergencies for Louisiana and Mississippi, releasing federal funds. And Louisiana's Republican Governor Bobby Jindal warned the danger is not over yet.
We're going to continue to see the weather effects of the storm, especially as it moves to the northern part of our state. On the East Bank in Plaquemines Parish, there was overtopping near Braithwaite at a non-federal levee. They are considering actually doing a breach intentionally to release water.
And as we go to airtime, it appears that they will be breaching that levee to release some of that pressure. So far, it appears that the $14 billion in post-Katrina infrastructure repairs and upgrades to that federal levee system have held up to this first major test. In 2005, 1,800 people died in the flooding after the levees failed in Katrina. With Isaac, only 2 fatalities have been reported so far, but hundreds did have to be rescued from their rooftops and attics in flooded areas outside New Orleans.
Which is a point I should add that Breitbart.com's editor-in-chief, Mike Flynn, told me last night on Twitter he thought it was hysterical.
That's funny?
Well, he was watching Weather Channel and thought that they were making a lot out of nothing, despite the fact that hundreds and hundreds of homes were flooded out from this storm.
Unbelievable.
Breitbart.
In Mississippi on Thursday morning, officials ordered an immediate evacuation of residents near a dam on the Mississippi-Louisiana border as a precaution due to fears of a potential dam failure due to Isaac's relentless rainfall. Now, on the plus side, Tropical Storm Isaac is forecast to deliver much-needed rain to the parched Midwest, but that heavy rain may severely impact what's left of the U.S. corn and soy crops that are already decimated by this summer's record drought. While the Gulf Coast is getting hammered by Isaac, just want to point out that the Republican House majority partying in Tampa all week voted for severe cuts to our weather monitoring agencies, nearly $500 million from the National Weather Service and nearly $1 billion from FEMA. And House Republicans are proposing even deeper cuts in the lame duck session after the election.
Lame indeed.
Speaking of the Republican National Convention in Tampa, the rhetoric is flowing hip deep and keeping the fact checkers very busy. But unlike the 2008 convention, the party of climate science denial has been curiously low-key this time around on energy policy. So far, no chance of drill, baby, drill, perhaps because the majority of Americans support federal clean energy investment over oil, and the GOP does not.
Also, absolutely no talk of climate change and global warming after the hottest summer on record in the history of the U.S.
Yeah, they've only had a handful of pot shots at the Obama administration, like this jab from Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell.
And now the EPA is the Employment Prevention Agency.
Of course, McDonnell is lying. The actual data shows that new pollution controls at power plants, for example, create tens of thousands more domestic jobs than are lost by federal regulations. Finally, one politician this week did mention the C word, climate change. Out of nowhere, President Obama, at a campaign speech at Iowa State University this week, said the forbidden words.
The decisions we make as a country on big issues like the economy and jobs and taxes and education and energy and war and climate change, all these decisions will directly affect your life.
Wow, climate change. Haven't heard the president mention that word either for a very long time.
Yep.
For much more on the stories we couldn't get to today, please check out our website at greennews.bradblog.com. While you're there, please consider a donation to help sponsor the Green News Report so we can keep telling the truth over your public airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at Green News Report and find us and like us on the Facebook. From bradblog.com, I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
And this has been your Green News Report.
If you want talk, go to the other guys. If you want conversation, go to Ray Medeiros at usaprogressive.com.
Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes, and of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people.
Corporations are not people. Corporations are property. The last time people were property in this country, we fought a civil war.
usaprogressive.com. The conversation starts here.
You never know who or what you'll hear when you listen to the Nicole Sandler Show at RadioOrNot.com.
Your view is not being represented in this country because all of our views have been corrupted by money in politics. Remember, 94% of the time, the candidate who raises the most money wins.
That's the fact that we need to drive home constantly. It's all about the money. Dylan Radigan, you rock.
The Nicole Sandler Show, live Monday through Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, or podcast anytime at RadioOrNot.com.
Scuttle on home. This ain't none of your business, Slick.
My name isn't Slick.
It's Hebert. Adam Hebert. This is Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert.
Sorry about that. Nicole, just so you know, I recently moved back to Champaign for school, and so my settings are all off and etc. So I apologize.
No problem whatsoever.
We are back, well, obviously with Nicole Bell from Crooks, editor for Crooks and Liars, and my friends who've been generous and kind enough to give me their 3 hours of their evening. War.
How you doing?
And John Kendall from Missoula, Montana.
Hello.
And War, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what? Do you want to tell them what happened?
Well, I was pouring myself a drink to get through this, and, and normally I go vodka, high C, mix it up. I'll have a pleasant drink in the middle of the night. Well, I skipped a step, did not add the high C, and failed to notice. So I took a nice big swig of pure vodka and let loose of the profanities like you've never seen.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should say that, so I thought I would, see if you want to share. Yeah, but he's okay. We didn't have to call a medic. So yeah, we are back. As I mentioned before, but just for the benefit of anyone who might be tuning in afterwards, our regular co-host Wes has some work issues that he needs to work out, and so he will not be joining us tonight. Yeah. No, I want to bring this up while you're here, Nicole. I talked about this earlier, but did you hear Dana Loesch this week? Her little squeal.
No, I missed Dana's squeal. What did she do?
I'm gonna inflict this upon you.
That's the left collectively losing their minds.
That's in reaction to Mitt Romney going birther. And I decided to poke the hive, as it were. And I said, well, okay, so Stephanie Miller played that squeal. I can't do it. All morning long. Or, well, Chris Lavoie did. And Stephanie Miller says, we apologize to Dana Loesch for playing that. And Chris says, no, we don't. So I went to Twitter and I decided, I'm going to poke this beehive with a stick. So I said, Stephanie Miller may have apologized for playing that, but I won't when I play on my show Saturday night. And her reaction was, it's too bad no one will be listening. And we have proven them wrong because we have 6 viewers. So, you should ask my co-hosts. I mean, my reaction was that bitch.
Well, for all you know, one of those viewers has set up something in an amphitheater, and it's just thousands of people are listening in right now.
I know, but
we'll pretend that's what's happening.
Yes.
Well, see, the thing about it is there isn't a liberal infrastructure to support a liberal media. I wish there was. I live in San Francisco, which is allegedly the most liberal place in the country. Although I could probably make arguments against that. We don't have a liberal radio station. The radio station that was Air America, 7 years ago, whatever, now plays Laura Ingraham in the morning. Stephanie Miller gets aired. I know Stephanie Miller gets aired, but she gets aired at 7:00 in the evening, and the bandwidth of this AM station is so poor that you actually can't really hear it unless you're in San Francisco proper after dark.
Yeah.
So you don't hear liberal voices in San Francisco.
No, because they've got a vested interest in making sure liberal media fails.
Right, and that's why I respect you, Adam. I respect, Nicole Sandler. I do a segment on Nicole Sandler show. I respect Kenny Pick and Left Neck Chick and all of these great liberals who say, you know what, I'm taking the matters in my own hands and I'm creating the voices that I don't get to hear. Well, and so I think that's fantastic. I think that's what we need to do is more of that.
Well, I appreciate the compliment because I'll admit that I'm still learning and my show is still a little rough on the edges. But I picked a darn good co-host. I wish you could have been. He could have been here tonight because I think you'd find him hysterical. But it is true. There is no liberal media. I'm the liberal media. Kenny Pick is the liberal media. Darn it! I'm just hiccuping left and right. I'm sorry. It's funny that you should mention Kenny Pick because he's pretty much my main inspiration. He's, it was listening to Turn Up Night that made me decide to do my own show. And, I wish he was more frequently available because I love to have him on more, but no, I mean, they're all great people. I've had the privilege of working with them on Occuthon, for example.
Right.
But, since we're talking about the media, here's something Rush Limbaugh had to say about the Democrats. I find this kind of amusing, actually.
And did you see that Michelle Obama's urging Obama supporters to get out and vote on November 2nd? The only problem is that's not Election Day. Michelle Obama did say, and don't let us down, be there. Now, when the Republicans put ads out in Democrat neighborhoods saying vote on the wrong day, you know what kind of hell that unleashes. What, do you think our voters are stupid? Yes. That's why we try to trick them. It doesn't take much.
And I find that just offensive because here at Mike Check Radio, everyone here, and that includes you, Warrior, you are an honorary sexy liberal. We are all, as I say, smarter than Savage and sexier than Limbaugh, which isn't a high bar, but yeah, we're stupid. That just grinds my gears.
You're treading in Family Guy territory there, Adam.
Oh, right. I don't want to get slapped with copyright issues. But no, I mean, seriously, he thinks we're stupid.
I've yet to... this is a guy whose understanding of the female reproductive system makes him believe that women take birth control pills every time they want to have sex.
Yeah.
So, he can argue that we're stupid. We have evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. War, you had something to say, sir?
Oh, it's just like comments like this that makes me think that the Republicans and just, talk shows in general just really don't have anything to talk about. Like, they got a date wrong, off with their heads. It's like there's nothing better to talk about. How about some issues for once instead of this constant, they made a date gaffe, let's talk about that for a half hour.
Well, but my point is, it's like we've lost this civility. Which is, we can agree to disagree. We used to be able to do that. Now it's like, you disagree with me, I must destroy you! And that is a major issue, in my personal opinion. I mean, it's one thing to say, I disagree with you, but I still respect you. Rush Limbaugh says, I disagree with you, so I must do everything within my considerable power to tear down anyone he doesn't like. And yeah, I don't know.
Who says anything that doesn't comport with his narrow worldview? Absolutely, he does do that, and it's sad, and it's indicative of this age. And being someone who blogs, I see nasty stuff all the time. I mean, there's nothing nastier than anonymous comments made on a blog. We have lost the sense of civility, and I do think that is part of the reason why we can't get things accomplished, because we have set this up to not only, I just have disagreements with you, to you must be destroyed, we must annihilate you so that our worldview dominates.
Right.
And I don't think that's healthy in any way, shape, or form. And I don't like it when Democrats do it either. I don't sit there and advocate for permanent Democratic control over everything. I think Democrats can do things that are stupid and wrong and disagree with them as well. It's this notion where you have to annihilate people. And if you look on Crooks and Liars right now, we have a story up about a guy who is a Fox News viewer and a self-described conservative Republican who tried to kill his girlfriend because his girlfriend espoused liberal politic talking points.
I must have missed this during my show prep. Is this new?
It's up there right now. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But I mean, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. We are now at the point where if you disagree with someone, they don't have the right to live, and we will use our Second Amendment right to remedy that situation, and that's beyond scary.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gone to the point where, my parents live down south in Alabama. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you before when we talked privately, Nicole, but my father's retired military, so he's kind of conservative, and, I'm literally like halfway between. Half my family is conservative, half liberal, but my mom says don't talk, Fox News is everywhere down there. Like, even in McDonald's, it's always on. And, if I hear something that ticks me off, I'll go to the counter and say, I'd like to speak to the manager, and I'll ask them, why is this on here? Why am I being insulted? Can't you put on a History Channel? She says, don't do that. I'm afraid you're going to get shot.
Right.
Yeah,
because that is the people's response now when you disagree with them, is you no longer deserve to live. And my colleague David Nyworth wrote a book called The Eliminationist, because that is the exact thinking, and it's the same thinking. If you want to look historically, it's the same kind of thinking that we had pre-Depression, pre-World War II, where people who don't comport with our worldview, people who are the other, do not deserve to live. We dehumanize them, we demonize them, and then we treat them as if it's fine to exterminate them.
Yeah.
And you're seeing these these weird historical parallels. And I've talked about this on I think Kenny's show before. There's a book by two sociologists, Strauss and Howe, called The Fourth Turning, that really has shaped a lot of the way I look at news and the way I process things, because they have blocked pretty much American or Western history up into the Magna Carta into 80-year chunks. 80 years being roughly the average lifespan of a human being, and you see the same cycles occurring over and over again, and they're like these 20-year blocks of, there's some catastrophic event that puts you in chaos, and then there's a rebuilding section, and then there's some sort of prosperity, and then the prosperity gets turned into suspicion of the other, and suspicion that some people are getting more than you are, that leads back to another catastrophic event. And it happens again and again and again. And if you look, 80 years ago, we had World War II. 80 years back behind that, you had the Civil War. 80 years behind that, you had the Spanish-American War, I think it is. But you keep seeing these patterns.
Well, since we were talking about the media, I don't know who saw it, but I want to share a thing that I consider of beauty. Chris Matthews, who is for those of you who aren't, I don't just wade into politics, I marinate in it. So I know, he went after Reince Priebus, who is the chairman of the Republican National Committee. I mean, just went after him for the blatant disrespect and the birther issue and, the racism, and he just went after them. And so here's cut one of a few.
Obama's been running a negative campaign, your guy's been running a positive campaign. That's not accurate. In fact, if they both stopped all the negative, I'm not sure who would win. But they've both been negative. That cheap shot about, I don't have a problem with my birth certificate, was awful. It is an embarrassment to your party to play that card. This stuff about getting rid of the work requirement for welfare is dishonest. Everyone's pointed out it's dishonest. And you are playing that little ethnic card there. And you can play your games and giggle about it. But the fact is your side is playing that card. When you start talking about work requirements, you know what game you're playing. playing. And everybody knows what game you're playing. It's a race car. And this thing about if your name's Romney, yeah, you were well born, you went to prep school, yeah, brag about it. And this guy has an African name and he's got to live with it. Look who's going further in your life. Just a minute. Who was born on third base?
Wait.
Okay, this absurdity. Making fun of the guy's birth certificate issue when it was never a real issue, except from the right wing.
You think Mitt Romney's playing the race card?
When he said, there's no doubt he did with his birth certificate.
No doubt.
No doubt. Why would he bring it up? Why would he say I have no problem with my birth certificate? What's that supposed to say?
Because it's an awkward joke.
Because.
Now, one of the things, part of that Dana Loesch clip, I just didn't play the whole thing, was that she's saying, well, the Obama campaign has coffee mugs with pictures. The point is, they are mocking you guys for being idiots and ignoring the proof. But Romney, that wasn't a joke. That was obviously raw dripping, bloody red meat for the crowd. He knows Obama was born here. He knows it, but he's playing to his base I mean, I've said this before, when we were talking about Ryan being selected. Mm-hmm. I said the fact that Romney is still worrying about his base tells me he is in some serious trouble.
I actually thought that was the most interesting part of the Republican convention was how much it was catered towards the base.
Yeah,
that they pretty much isolated themselves from anyone who wasn't in their party.
And reality.
Through all their all right, but
I'm sorry.
That seemed like the wrong, approach to take. Just constant insults of Obama and just sinking your feet into pure as far right as you can go. It seemed like the wrong step to take because originally Romney was the kind of guy that he was just sort of enough that independents could go, maybe I will go with Romney. But then after this, it's like, well, Romney is as far right as you can go. Why would we even consider going for him? That was just such the wrong choice, in my opinion.
Right. And again, the conventions are usually about tacking to the center. Not this case, but let's fast forward to the very end. They keep arguing. Tom Brokaw tries to pull the phony, both sides do it. Both sides do it. I can't do a Tom Brokaw, I'm sorry. But so here's how it ends. And this was a thing of beauty. Here it goes.
Okay.
Chris, let him answer the question.
He's not really domestic. Oh, he brought it up.
All right.
Okay.
You don't think that the takeover of our healthcare system, called Obamacare, is a problem for most Americans in this country?
Let me tell you some history, sir. Teddy Roosevelt pushed for that. Franklin Roosevelt pushed for that. Truman pushed for that. Were they all under the influence of Europe?
I'm not going to get into a shouting match with Chris, so you guys can move on.
If you're losing, that's why.
No, it's not losing. I'm not going to sit here.
Obama being a foreigner is the thing your party's been pushing. Sununu pushed it. Everybody pushes it in your party.
Okay.
Right. Garbage.
It's your garbage.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that was a thing of beauty. Just take him out by the woodshed and give him oops, wrong button. I'm sorry. Just gave him a savage tongue lashing. And good on Chris. I don't care what Tom Brokaw thought. I think he had every right to go after Reince Priebus. And, good for you. Good for you. I mean, I know it's a common political joke that Chris Matthews is a bloviator, but it had to be said, and good on him. Any thoughts?
No, I think it's good for Chris to do it. I don't think it's enough for Chris Matthews to do it because Chris Matthews is he has been dismissed by conservatives as being part of the liberal media because pretty much everybody on air is the liberal media to conservatives. Anytime there's bad press, it's because it's the liberal media. Plus, he tends to respond viscerally to things, and he very famously said he got a tingle up his leg listening to Barack Obama speak. And the thing about Chris Matthews is that he responds to politics. He doesn't put it into a system of values. He's not looking at the consequences or the end results. He just looks at politics as the thing itself. So that's why he can get as equally excited by a Obama speech as he can by a Tom DeLay maneuver. Because I've seen him fawn over Tom DeLay and gone, what the hell? What are you thinking? But I think we have gotten to the point where the media is really going, there's something wrong. You know, we've already debunked the whole birther thing. It keeps coming back. At a certain level, you're going, I can't pretend this playing to the idiot base is okay. And I think that's where we're going with this. I mean, you keep hearing the media going, Paul Ryan is a liar. Or, Paul Ryan stretched to the truth. Paul Ryan prevaricated. They won't come out and call him a liar. They'll just say, Paul Ryan didn't tell, made things up or exaggerated or whatever, euphemism you want to use. But the fact of the matter is, because they're not en masse holding these people responsible for these egregious things, because really, birtherism is just the worst example of just abject bigotry, just abject fear of the other. The man was born in Hawaii. Hawaii has been a state for as long as, since the 50s. There should not be any more issues. This should not come up. Donald Trump should not get any more engagements on Fox News to go, I'm still investigating, where his birth certificate is. But we still keep validating these people who keep saying these things. And so that's why, Mitt Romney thinks it's okay. He can say this and he'll get off scot-free.
Yeah.
You'll get some grumblings on MSNBC. You dismiss it because it's the liberal media, but he can say it and he'll say it again in another speech.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, Mitt Romney scares me. I'm beginning to wonder if there's some sort of sociopathy thing going on there. The way he could just tell these lies and show no emotion. That just... I mean... Well,
I see. That's where I'm going to disagree with more on this, because for me, it's not that Mitt Romney is playing to the base and trying to attract the base. To me, what this says is Mitt Romney will say literally anything to get the election, that this is a man without any convictions whatsoever.
Adam, what was that quote I gave you the other day?
Oh, jeez.
Mitt Romney's biggest inspiration for presidency is becoming the president. That's really his only target, is actually winning the election.
Because he thinks he's entitled to it. He has been raised cradle to grave by the Mormon, well, not grave, I apologize, but, telling it, he's been told all his life, you're going to be president, you're going to usher in this era of prosperity for the Mormon church. He honestly thinks he's entitled to win. This isn't an election to him, it's a coronation.
Right, and to that end, I don't want to get you in trouble with your 6 listeners if one of them's Mormon and is going to come after you. But there is a thing in the Mormon Church called lying for the Lord. That is an actual thing, and the missionaries that go out and they talk to people and try to convert people. It is acceptable practice to lie to people if your ultimate goal is to get them to convert to the LDS Church.
Yeah. Well, I was raised Catholic. My family's Italian-American, so Catholicism is pretty deeply rooted in my mom's side of the family. And, I'm a godless heathen now, but last I checked, lying is a sin, according to the Bible. And you go to hell for that. But,
It is not... If it is for the ultimate goal of benefit to the church, it is acceptable in the Mormon faith. I mean, because I was raised Catholic too. I'm Irish, so I was raised Catholic too. I understand that little nuance is a Joseph Smith bonus.
Joseph Smith was a criminal as far as I recall reading, horse thief. Telling tall tales.
Con man.
So
con man. Yeah, and so that helped justify his actions because he was lying for the Lord. And everything you do, if it is for the benefit of your church, is acceptable, including lying. So, that's why you call it sociopathic. It's just part of his upbringing. It is okay to lie. In service of what he considers the greater good, it is absolutely acceptable to lie. And so that's why you see him do it, and do it all the time. And why he can take literally every side of every issue. He can be, pro-life, he can be pro-choice, he can be, with exceptions. He can have every single stance on every single issue and still feel like he is being absolutely true to himself.
Well, I don't know what else. I mean,
I can't dispute it because I'm sort of in shock a little bit. I wasn't even aware that was the case in the Mormon religion.
Yeah, look it up. I would not.
I'm not calling you a liar or anything. I'm just I'm sitting here in shock.
Yeah, no. Look at I grew up in Southern California, in one of the largest populations of Mormons outside of Utah. I grew up with a lot of Mormon friends. We talked about missions. We talked about the Mormon Church. They've attempted to convert me more times than I can count. And so I am familiar with it. And then when it looked like Mitt Romney was the guy, we redoubled our efforts at Crooks and Myers to start researching the Mormon Church because we felt like that needed to be an issue. Because, Mitt Romney is a Mormon elder. His life has been centered around his church, and it is a fair question to say, if this is your fulfillment of the prophecy that at some point, and this is a Brigham Young prophecy, I believe, that a Mormon would come to the presidency at a time when the Constitution was at a crisis, and issue in a Mormon theocracy into the United States. If he feels like he is the symbol of that prophecy, to whom is he more indebted, the American people or his church?
A valid point. Unfortunately, we're running a little long on the segment, Nicole. I really wish we had more time. But thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll consider coming back again. Maybe
absolutely.
Maybe next time we'll actually do the political science theater thing. Are you familiar with Mystery Science Theater? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I am a huge fan of Mystery Science.
All right, so you are perfectly qualified. Maybe we'll do that next time. We'll be in touch. But thank you so much, Nicole Bell of Crooks and Liars. Please check her out. And I mean, Crooks and Liars is one of my favorite places to dig for audio gold. So I really appreciate it. Thank you and have an awesome night. Thank you for joining us, Nicole Bell.
Thank you, Adam. You take care.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I just ended the whole call. Oh, crud. No. Yeah. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oops. John, sorry about that. I ended the whole call by accident.
It's okay. When it went off, I was like, oh shit, what happened? And then
I am so sorry. We gotta get the break, though. We are running late. War, I'm sorry I accidentally cut the whole call, but we really have to go. So here we go.
And we are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Adam Hebert.
Yes?
Morons.
You're listening to Adam Hebert and Mike Check Radio.
Hi, this is Kenny Pick from Turn Up the Night. Here are some of the hijinks you can expect from my show. We just got done listening to several clips about the Romney fundraisers over the weekend, and I invented the murder finger. It's an offspring of the murder fist. It just happens to be the murder fist with the middle finger extended.
Well, I'm ahead of you because I've had a hate finger for many years.
Hate finger.
Hate finger. The man with the malcontent's touch. Yes.
Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, streaming live every Tuesday and Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern at Radio or Not, Talk Radio 1, Progressive Blend Radio, and KennyPick.com. The 99 Report with Allie McNeil, covering all the issues that affect the 99% and what drives the Occupy movement. Live on Fridays from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/99-report. Podcasts available on the blog, the99report.blogspot.com. And be sure to follow Allie and the 99 Report at Watergate Summer on Twitter. The 99 Report with Allie McNeil, a voice for the majority.
What the hell? Are you stuck at home on a Saturday night with nothing to do again?
I can't take it anymore!
Then join me, my co-hosts, and my guests every Saturday evening for Mic Check Radio with Adam Hebert. Okay. Together we'll discuss the big news of the week from entertainment and politics, talk about the issues that are on your mind, and hey, we'll even talk about general stupidity and jackassery from the American right.
You stupid jackass!
So join me every Saturday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. Central at my Ustream home, Mic Check Radio. Come on in, it'll be loads of fun.
Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending. I love a happy ending.
Have you checked your mic? If you haven't, somebody else has. That's Adam Hebert on Mic Check Radio.
Fuck yeah! Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetics, movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and
Mic Check Radio.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
This is Adam Hebert on Mic Check Radio.
Open up my mic this time. Okay, we are back. Joining me is, again, I just want to introduce them, my super special guest co-hosts, John Kendall, student at the University of Montana.
Hello, kind people.
And everyone here should know War.
Yep, greetings.
And we're going to have another guest coming on in a second. Sorry. Mistress Clarissa from the Shannon Files, another one of the fine liberal programs you can listen to. We're going to bring her in right now. And we're a bit behind schedule, but that's okay because everything was kind of thrown off when Wes called in anyway. He's not getting his Soros check for this week. I can tell you that much.
Hello there.
Hello, Mistress Clarissa, right?
Yes. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. This is Adam. You're on with me, John Kendall, and my friend War. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, it is my joy.
Yep. Thank you.
So before we start getting into stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I mean, I listened to the Shan Files a few times, but I don't know who else has. So, why don't you introduce yourself, my audience? Well, I know War and John don't know, so.
Well, I am the co-host of the Shannon Files, which is a liberal, another nail in the coffin of tyranny and stupidity. So progressive online. I don't want to say news. We chat, we discuss. We're about debating and discussing matters, and stripping away the bullshit with a good amount of snark and real adult stuff too. Oh, and by the way, I'm actually a real life dominatrix. Politics is a passion you think you stew in politics, my gosh, darling, this is my fetish. I enjoy this in a way that you can't possibly imagine.
Well, then I'm glad you you're with us, because we do a lot of politics, and I'm at, as I mentioned earlier, because I know you're in the chat. I mentioned Mystery Science Theater. I do a lot of that. I was doing that all week long, watching the convention, just sitting there, mocking,
Oh, absolutely. Same here.
We can't control when the stupid begins or ends.
Yeah, just roll it around your mouth, taste it. That's stupid and or evil. Pretty much anything dealing with the neocon is now, it can be reduced down to stupid or evil. Did they make this decision based on stupid, or did they make this decision on evil?
Well,
like the mwahaha factor. Like,
yeah.
Fucking let them all die. We need money. Throw them out of their house. We don't need the paperwork. Fuck them.
You mean like this?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. From the,
just so everyone knows, that's the Joker from the old Batman animated series. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker voicing him. So, yeah, I have his iconic laugh. But so I mentioned, you don't think when you think Mark Hamill, you don't think of him as the clown prince of crime. But so.
Oh yes, I do. Oh my God, he does so many voices on Cartoon Network.
I know. He's such.
He does
awesome...
like half the voices.
Actually, I'll have to see if I can find this clip, because I have a clip of him at Comic-Con where he talks about Mitt Romney. But since we're talking about stupid versus evil, Clint Eastwood, was he being stupid or evil?
Oh gosh. Wow, I think neither one of those apply at this point. I think this was his deathbed plea to his organization when he was talking about choosing a candidate you don't really like. I don't think he was talking about Obama at this point. I think he really was talking about, Mitt Romney. I'm not so sure if the Republican Party that he sees now is the Republican Party that he signed up for, because this is a bunch of crazies. And he spoke a lot about Gitmo and closing that down. And a lot of what he had to say to Obama, we legitimately criticized him on the left. Like, why are we still in these stupid-ass wars? Why do we still have Gitmo? I know he can't close it by decree, but why hasn't he gotten out in front of it and changed the way we speak about it? Instead, he rolls over all the time, shows belly. Please pet my tummy. I promise I'm not an angry black man.
Yeah, and he didn't Eastwood seems to not realize that the Republicans have basically passed laws making it impossible to close Gitmo. They have, they've basically said no appropriate funds can be used to transfer Gitmo prisoners to prisons in the United States. So, I think, I don't know if it's senility or stupidity, but
I think it was senility, like old age, like this. If we find out he's found dead of like anal cancer, would anybody be surprised? Or he had like really bad whatever that nobody knew about? He's clearly not all there, and I think he was trying his best to communicate to everybody, and they just wanted to hear him say his line, his lines that they're there for, and that's all they want. I think he also understood that, and so he let them have it, and they went crazy like baboons.
Yep. It was crazier than a crap fight in a monkey house.
That would be scheisse fetish.
Well, you know what drives me nuts is he's for gay marriage, he's pro-choice, but he's siding with a party that is against both. And
yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I have friends who are Republican, and they signed up to the Republican Party because, as far as they know, the Republican Party was the party of conservation. You don't use or spend or pollute everything so you have nothing left, like a toddler does with toys and food and treats. That was the party of Lincoln. That was the party of equality. It was the Democrats who were the Southern racists. It was the Democrats who had McCarthyism, or it was McCarthy. And so my Republican friends think that. They think Nixon EPA. And unfortunately, what I'm also seeing is a lot of my really amazing Republican friends who, they go about things just a little differently. They have a different point, or they have a different perspective, but it's for the same end. They want to stop pollution. They want to end inequality, and they're doing it from different ways. They're attacking the same problem. And they jump ship to the Democrat side, but then no one's pulling the party back from crazy. Or they keep their head down going, no, they really won't do that. It's not that bad. And then they let, once again, the crazies take control. I think what this guy did in his most shambled state, he had the balls to go up and go, hey, guys, you're a little wonky. Come on back. Back it up. You've gone off the cliff. You fuckers are nuts. But he didn't say fuckers. He's old. He can get away with it now.
Well, like I said, I mean, it's like I was joking the other, I opened the second hour saying, isn't it sad to watch someone you respect and deeply admire lose their minds in front of a national audience? But enough about that. Let's talk about Clint Eastwood.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I did respect from, especially after that commercial at the Super Bowl where he's talking about, the automotive industry is coming back. That's because of President Obama.
I don't think he's that bad. He's the last of the non-crazies, and he's disintegrating real fucking fast.
Yeah. Maybe Dick Cheney made him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's just it's really bad. So, see, we were originally gonna, darn. So I want to let me play. I mentioned this earlier. I want to play this. This is Mark Hamill again. Famous for being Luke Skywalker, but voice actor. He was pulled to the side. I mean, I would love to go to Comic-Con just so, I can just imagine walking around, and bumping into someone like Mark Hamill. Cause, so here's what he had to say about, it started out, so I don't remember what the question was, but he starts talking,
when I was a kid, one of the great shows that I used to watch was Disney's Zorro. And I knew nothing about Mexican history or anything, but just the idea of a privileged person fighting for the underdog. There's something very romantic about that. I guess it goes back to Robin Hood. People that are fighting for the middle class and for the have-nots. It's something that we see even playing out in the presidential race. And if you don't vote for Barack Obama, you're insane. Because without him, I think the middle class will completely disappear. And you look at Romney, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I think he's like the Thing. He only imitates human behavior. He's not actually human himself. Do you know he had lemonade on the campaign trail last week? He said, lemon, wet, good. Really? He said that. So God bless him. I'm enjoying him running for office, but I just, came out as a lifelong Democrat. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just love that clip. That's going to be staying in my box because, first of all, what I really like about that is when he laughs, you can hear part of the Joker laugh in that, which makes that so awesome. But I love him comparing Mitt Romney to The Thing. Have you seen that movie, Mistress Clarissa?
The Thing?
Yes.
The original? Like, which version?
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a legitimate point. He's just so stiff and wooden. It's like he's just, being told what to do and imitating what he thinks he's supposed to do. I mean, War, I know you've heard that clip before, but, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, is it wrong? Is it unfair to make that comparison?
To The Thing? I think it's a bit unfair. Like,
well, let's just take away the evil alien wants to overrun the world part. Just the idea of it imitating human behavior.
Yeah, but
it's
think
still
in sociopaths.
It's still harsh, but I don't know what to say about that.
Look at serial killers and sociopaths. They don't recognize human emotion. They lack empathy. That's what enables them to do certain acts of brutality without a blinking an eye. And then look at Romney's behavior. And I've said it on my show multiple times, Thursdays 9 p.m., just saying, the Shannon Files.
Oh, we plug you every show, by the way.
Oh, repetition, and we love you, by the way.
Thank you.
But he doesn't have empathy. He doesn't have that quality. If he had empathy, he would not be putting a dog on his roof of his car without a brake, without anything, until it shits itself. That shows clear lack of empathy, clear lack of something that does not resemble who he is. And by resemble, I don't just mean an animal, which is a non-human mammal, but doesn't recognize things that aren't rich. Like, if you're not a rich person, he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't know how you live. He doesn't care to. All he knows is he'll make more money if he takes away your job and sends it overseas. That's what he understands. The only thing he understands is what looks like him. So his wife, his kids, the Mormons right around him, of his stature.
Right. Well, I don't know if you heard about it. This is pretty new, but he went to Louisiana either yesterday or today, and he talked and a homeless guy approached him and said, I need help. I've been flooded out of my home. And Mitt Romney just says, call 211 and walks off. Never mind. I guess.
Oh my God! Do they have that on tape?
I didn't notice, but who knows? I'll double check on that. But here's the thing. I guess 211 is the number to call for government assistance or whatever. But that's the sort of thing Mitt Romney wants to eliminate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He doesn't understand the value of things and resources. Without and when he made his speech, it was about how his parents did all these things. And you know what? I want to vote for his parents. I would have voted for his mother. I would have voted for his father. Him, not so much. He's the rich kid who didn't have to do anything difficult. He could do what he wanted. He had a fallback plan. He was never going to be homeless or hungry. He was surrounded by wealth all his life, and even if his mom and dad were the best people in the entire world, they allowed their son to become this monster. And he's so far removed from humanity and life that we let this guy happen to us because he would happen. He would be a force of nature, and this will be the collapse.
That's my worry, because we're still recovering from what Bush did this country. And whether you agree, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, the fact of the matter is George W. Bush did massive damage to this country. And we are still on the edge of disaster, and Mitt Romney would just be that final push. But
also, what about? Sorry, go right ahead. My apologies.
No, I had a point, and I kind of forgot it. Darn. I'm sorry.
He talks about how women should be. Women are important, and he believes in them, and that was part of his speech. And yet, he doesn't appreciate us to make our own decisions about our body, our families, or get paid the same amount as a guy. So
I just remembered my point. What I was going to say is when I heard his speech and him talking about his father, and I do realize George Romney was a decent man. So my question is, what happened to his douchebag of a son?
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes you try to give the best to your kid, and in doing so, you spoil them.
Yeah.
And you don't. And I'm not like scared about to spoil the child. I'm not like that at all. But like the kid who doesn't really understand the value that some people have to work a week to get something, afford something that he doesn't even have to think of.
Right.
he didn't have to work as hard as his father. So labor and having to form relationships with people who are unlike you is completely missed by him. So that part of his childhood probably didn't happen.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Someone had something to say. It sounded like.
I think what happened wrong in his childhood is he dropped $100. He dropped $100 bill and someone else got it before he did. So he's like, "Oh, I gotta fuck everyone else over because somebody came and stole my $100 bill."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, oh yeah.
Well, we're gonna go to break. Clarissa, you're staying for the remainder of the show, right? For the last
Yes,
30 minutes?
yes, I am.
Okay, just making sure. Well, let's real quick. You know what? We'll do this when we come back. We'll do we do a segment. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. We do a segment every week called Asshole of the Week, where we feature an asshole. We'll do that when we come back because we're running a bit long. And for some reason, my script did not work, so I gotta make the break. But so yeah, I get it. George Romney was a decent human being. So my question is, what the hell happened to his son? Because that guy scares me.
Well, it wasn't the boogeyman because he was laying under Mitt Romney's bed one night and was like, "Shit, it's Mitt Romney. You better get out of here."
That was good. We'll do Gothic Necklord for the break. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I usually have my breaks just automatically generated, and my script failed, so I'm kind of frantically looking through to figure out what I'm going to play. Yes. Anywho, we will be back shortly. This is Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert. Joining me is Mistress Clarissa, and we have two special co-hosts tonight. Wes is off due to work issues. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say about that next week. So yeah, we'll be back in after this break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Adam Hebert,
a man with breathtaking anger management issues,
on Mike Check Radio.
Come experience the next generation of progressive voices. Weekday nights on Nicole Sandler's primetime lineup at RadioOrNot.com. Liberate yourself with Filter-Free Radio, hosted by Jacob Dean every Monday night.
It's just the system is broken. Just bring it down. Bring it all down, right?
On Wednesday nights, take a sharp progressive turn and join Talking Left with Danielle and Shano.
All those Republicans are anti-capitalist.
All of a sudden, well, no, they're just anti-Romney.
Exactly.
and it's interesting to watch the three-legged stool splinter.
Then let it all hang out, both Tuesday and Friday nights on Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick.
You love the Constitution so much, but you hate the government, but you love the corporations. Where does that come from?
Tune in to the primetime Radio or Not lineup weekday nights at the Ustream home of Nicole Sandler. RadioOrNot.com.
I'm sorry, I just find the whole thing so ironic and so mind-bending, it's just ridiculous.
Hi, this is Kenny Pick from Turn Up the Night. Here are some of the hijinks you can expect from my show.
Hey, McCain was born in Panama.
Yeah, McCain was born in Panama, but, you know, there was...
And they were fine with that.
Well, he was born of American parents, and it was in a U.S. territory.
Yeah. McCain was actually grandfathered in, and what I mean by that is he was born an old man.
Yes. It was kind of like Benjamin Button. Yeah.
Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, streaming live every Tuesday and Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern at Radio or Not, Talk Radio 1, Progressive Blend Radio, and KennyPick.com.
Slaves presenting that caliph of clowns, that mogul of Mounty Banks, the one and only
Adam Hebert. This is Mic Check Radio.
And we are back. Joining me for the remainder of the show, of course, my special co-hosts, War.
How you doing?
And John Kendall from out of Missoula, Montana, our Missoula, Montana bureau.
Yep.
Okay, good. I was worried there for a second. And our guest, Mistress Clarissa from the Shannon Files. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I know we've been talking about this for a couple weeks. It's just, things have been kind of hectic. I just moved back to Illinois for college, and so.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. You know, hopefully, I'm gonna pass Japanese this year. I'm gonna work hard at it. So, we're running late, so let me get out the asshole of the week jingle. John, you haven't heard this before, am I correct?
I think I have heard it because you sent me.
Oh yeah. Well, here we go. We got it. It's tradition. It's a relatively new tradition, but it's a tradition nonetheless. So here we go.
Who is he? He's an asshole, sir. I know that. What's his name? Asshole. Major Asshole. I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. Were ye born an asshole?
Asshole?
Or did you work it your whole life? Either way, it worked out fine. 'Cause you're an asshole tonight. How many assholes we got on this ship, anyhow?
That is actually
Spaceballs?
Yes, that was Spaceballs. That is my favorite Mel Brooks movie. Kenny likes Blazing Saddles. I like Spaceballs. Although they're both good movies. I'm just saying I like Spaceballs better. Probably because I grew up watching it. Yeah, that was Spaceballs.
Well, may the Schwartz be with you.
Well, thank you. This week's this guy has been nominated, at least 3 or 4 times before, but this is the week he finally earned this dishonor. Brian Fisher is a religious right-wing whack job.
Oh, I love those.
Well, yeah, he's one of and he regularly says stupid things. He regularly makes an asshole of himself. But this is the week where he out-assholed everyone else. This is in response to Todd Akin getting creamed in the media. That sounds wrong and dirty, but so here we go. Brian Fisher from the American Family Institute, I think. Here we go.
Dennis Prager wants him out. Charles Krauthammer wants him out. Hugh Hewitt wants him out. Ann Coulter wants him out. The National Review editorial board wants him out. The Wall Street Journal editorial board wants him out. The Tea Party Express wants him out. So virtually nobody other than the Family Research Council and yours truly, even Rush apparently now is out saying that he ought to step aside. So everybody is gang tackling Todd Akin. Now you talk about a forcible situation. You talk about somebody being a victim of kind of forcible assault. That would be Todd Akin.
So him being pilloried in the media for saying something obscenely stupid and uncaring and evil, that's the exact same as raping a woman, according to Brian Fisher. If anyone, I'm speechless.
This is the party of pro-rape. That's what it comes down to. Why don't we stop mincing words and dancing around this? These people are pro-rape. So if you're a rapist, these guys have your back. If you believe that you should stick your dick in somebody's anything for whatever reason that's not consensual, they're going to high-five and fist-bump you, and they're going to create laws to make sure that you can keep doing that. Go to his church.
Well, it looks like the University of Montana is safe then.
I'm sorry, John?
It looks like the University of Montana won't have anything to worry about now with conservatives running things. God.
I just... this is why I say it is not unfair to compare the Christian right to the Taliban. The only difference between the two is religion. Taliban is Muslim, the American Taliban is Christian.
Well, do you think these people are pro-communist? Just my weird question. Do you think these guys embrace communism? Probably not. They probably would say communism is evil, right?
Yeah.
Well, they espouse a more hard line than Ceausescu did. He was the last Roman communist dictator. Romanians. And he had this decree, Decree 770, which outlawed abortion because the fetus is property of the state. They have to bolster their roles and their populace. So they want women to have as many children as possible. So they were, given special things, rewards for having kids, but they also wanted to make sure that women would not have abortions. It was illegal, except in case of rape or the life of a mother. So this is what the communists did. And by the way, what ended up happening because of the decree, which was repealed after Ceausescu was thrown out and actually hung, one of the things that they found out is that you had a gigantic amount of orphans, non-stop orphans. So that also means higher crime. You had a lot of defects, anomalies, and didn't know what to do with any of these kids who needed special care. And they had an amazing crime wave because of this. So this is what Akin and Mitt Romney and Ryan and even Ron Paul, this is the same type of stuff that they espouse, except they say they're anti-communist. Oh, but they have tougher laws, and this is the Republican platform that under no circumstances should abortion be legal. How fucked up is that? Very, very Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to reference that story because we actually read one of Margaret Atwood's stories in science fiction. It wasn't The Handmaid's Tale. It was what was the one about the lady who could see who could talk the future? Oh, I forgot the name of it. But I learned about The Handmaid's Tale from that, because they talk about her other works in the blurb. So I read, I mean, where basically women are property. Their sole purpose, they have no rights. Their sole purpose for existence is to pop those babies out.
Also, she addresses the issue of environmental damage. So a lot of the populace is now sterile, and they force women to give birth. You're given over to the politicians and the leaders. And one of the things that made this all possible was the women and the wives of these leaders who would go up and say, this is good, this is a good thing, this is good for women, this is good for the family. And what do we have in real life? Imitating art. You have the wives, you have the Michelle Bachmans going, yes, this is a great idea. Let's do that. Because rape will never happen to my daughter, and if it does, these rules don't apply to me because I'm rich and powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that banning abortion is going to mean no one in America gets abortions, you are fooling yourself, because the Mitt Romneys of the country will shuffle their children out under cover of darkness. They can pay for the last minute booking fees. They can pay for all of that. They won't just get an abortion. They'll get it in style.
And banning abortion doesn't stop it. It just drives it underground, and once again, either women die or women are forced to suffer through childbirth. And this is something that no one ever talks about when it comes to parenthood. We never, ever have a real adult discussion about what it means to be a mother, physically, psychologically, monetarily, resource-wise. This is a huge endeavor. And the pain, if you have been raped, having to go through the physical pain of 9 months of this thing growing and reminding you every day that you were raped. Oh, and by the way, after you're raped, you're also considered a slut, too. And then you have to give birth to this thing, which you don't have that emotional connection because it came through trauma, and this is how some women, feel. Well, now you have to go through this intense pain, which you may even die from, not the pain, but childbirth, because it is actually safer to have an abortion than it is to give childbirth, even in this day and age. So this is what these people are condemning women to, poor women, poor families, people who are unlike them.
Well, I've said this before, and this isn't a slam on you, War, because, like I said, I get where you're coming from, but I said this earlier. Freedom for Republican, and just so you know, because I don't know if you heard earlier, War is a Republican, although he's saying libertarian now. Freedom to them is a buzzword. They don't actually believe in it.
Newspeak.
And here's
Orwellian newspeak.
Here's proof of that. Here's Pat Robertson talking about freedom of religion.
Well, the billboards stay up forever unless somebody comes and buys the billboard. I mean, you can get a billboard to go on for several months even though you pay for a month.
Oh, and he's talking about, basically the background to this is atheists buying billboards.
Those billboard companies are private. They're owned by private corporations. They can deny somebody the right to put up an offensive billboard. They don't have to. I mean, if they had two teenagers having sex, they wouldn't put that picture on because it would be repugnant to the people. They can also tell those atheists to take a hike. There's no First Amendment that says, the billboard companies have to put your atheist message up. So that's, forget this First Amendment stuff.
But the First Amendment, according to Pat Robertson, says, of course, Christians get preferential treatment. They get to have their message out there, and if you dare try and counter it or deny them access, oh my God, you are such a bastard.
Absolutely. Well, religious freedom means their freedom to impose their religion in the way that they view it on us. And not just Christianity, it's their version of Christianity.
Mm-hmm. It's
their
you have to be the
their
right
filter.
Yeah, you have to be the right. It's not just Christian. It's white, Protestant, preferably Baptist, heterosexual Christian. My parents live down south. My family's Catholic. I'm a black sheep. I'm an atheist, but I mean, Catholics are not welcome in the South. Pretty much. I mean, it's still like that, and it's like.
People forget that atheists rank lower down than people who believe in Muhammad and follow the Quran. Of all the religions or non-religions, the one thing that all the religions and believers can agree on is that they hate atheists and they don't trust them.
Well, it's.
But you have.
Well, Hal Sparks says in the Sexy Liberalist show, and now I realize, damn, I should have pulled this audio. He talks about how, you know, if you don't do something because there's a cop nearby, you're not doing it out of morality. You're doing it because you don't want a nightstick up your ass. But if you say, I'm not going to do this because it's wrong and it violates my morals, that's a moral choice. And I agree with that. You know.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. How does my non-faith hinder their faith? Well, then their faith can't be that strong. If they're not willing to read my belief system, my scriptures, my version of scriptures, or someone else's version of scriptures, then how do you expect anyone to read their version? How good is their stuff that they're selling if they have to force it on you rather than have you come to them because what they're doing is so fantastic? Apparently, they can't show you that this is good and that you should do it. There's nothing sellable or wantable about this. Instead, they have to stuff it up your ass, kick you around, give you a head injury, and then say, one of us, Google gobble.
Yeah, one of us. It's like in The Mummy, Imhotep.
Exactly.
But real quickly, because excuse me, I really wish I had a better setup. You know, like a cough button. You know. Again, George Soros, please. I need that money. I want to make some upgrades to my studio / dorm room. Paul reminded me I should call out names. So real quickly, I just want to call out names. Ictenos009, that's Rob Poole, another guy who's co-hosted with us. John Kendall, of course, who is on with us now. Mistress Clarissa, so thank you for both watching and participating. Paul Green of leftwingradiostations.com, Revron, and Victor Rocco, and we have a guest who is probably either Snork or Scooter, because they both, for some reason, my channel doesn't like them, and I don't know why. I've fiddled with the settings, and so, I'm trying to think of where we could go with only a few minutes left. What we haven't really talked about this in depth. What did you think of Eastwood's? Can we call that a speech? Stage act? I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
It's a device. It's a theatrical device, the chair thing. If you ever do theater games and you have to learn a monologue, that's one of the things. You're trying to make the scene more dynamic. I'm a theater geek. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, all I know is I was accused by, one of my conservative. Well, I try to separate conservative and Republican. Armin Martin, nice guy. Don't agree with him politically, but he can be a witty, funny guy, and I appreciate that. He's like, well, if this had been at the Democratic National Convention, you'd be saying it was genius. I'd be saying no. I would still be saying, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Because I actually have standards, and I mean, I'm not saying it was bad. It was just bizarre, and it doesn't matter if you're left or right. I mean, let's just say that this week was really tough on me, and not just because of school. It was just, the RNC was just like...
It's like being tased in the balls.
It was a fun bit of theater, the whole thing. Like, when Romney gets on stage, do you notice how quickly he accepted, almost like he was afraid they were going to go, never mind, we're nominating, nominating someone else.
Yeah, usually they do that after, a little bit into the speech.
He's like, yes, okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I take it, I accept, yeah. Hey,
yep.
Is it for true now? Is it real? Can I wake up? Is it set? Is it done?
Is the coronation over?
Yeah.
Is the coronation
over?
Can
I print something out? It's probably going to be misspelled. Americia.
Americia. That was a good irony. No, no, I mean...
How good can they be if they can't, double-check their spelling? There's an app for that,
Yeah. tell. My Japanese is better than their English. Before we do, we're going to start winding down. I want to play this because I think that everyone will get a kick out of it. This is Mike and Raleigh's newest, one of his. Well, it is. Let me tell you, this man is a machine. I don't know where he. I was up until about 3 this morning doing show prep because first of all, I'm a night owl, and second of all, I'm a depressingly poor college student. So I've got to do my schoolwork, so I was up until about 3 this morning, and he put out this, I'm not going to play the song, but he put out his newest piece, which is called, This Chair Talking Guy, a parody of American Pie, full-length song, 4 minutes, check it out. But here is another one of his comedy bits from this week called, T-Dar. Take a listen.
When I created Tea Party Harmony to help you find your perfect right-wing mate, I didn't stop there. Now, just in time for the convention, I've created a mobile app that helps you find that one person who thinks just like you. Introducing TDAR.
There I was at the convention waiting to see Birther of a Nation, and my TDAR alert went off.
Whenever you get close to someone as sociopathic and misinformed as you are, the patented TDAR alert tone lets you know. I just turned around and there she was.
You were so cute.
It's TDAR. Download it and take it everywhere. Choose the tone you like.
It's much more fun when you have it on vibrate.
Don't I know it?
I don't know how I ever met true patriots before.
Get TDAR today. I still don't like taxes.
And I'm still afraid of brown people.
Yeah. From the people who brought you Tea Party Harmony, it's TDAR. May not be compatible with anything after 1962.
Let's give Mike and Raul. Damn it! I did it again. Rocky Mountain Mike. And of course, Deborah Kell of Turn Up the Night was the voice of the woman in that. We're gonna try and get her on. It's hard it's hard for her, but so anyway, let's try to auger this in. I have a couple things I want to mention. Damn it, unfortunately, I did not have time to put my show prep on my tablet, so I'm just gonna have to open up the PDF file on my computer. I just want to wish my good friend Robert a happy first anniversary. He and his wonderful wife Sarah were married Labor Day of last year, and it's been a year of bliss, as far as I know. So happy anniversary to Robert and Sarah Wood, and many more. And please check out Robert's work. The magazine just dropped last night. Excuse me. It's Beneath the Juniper Tree, and the story is, I forget the name of the story, but it's an online magazine, free of charge. Please go check it out. Robert is a wonderful writer, and I'm going to do everything I can to support him, and hopefully I'll be able to browbeat him into coming on. So anyone have any fun? We're not going to do prank shots just yet, but anything you all want to add before I real quickly do our plugs?
Good. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like, last night I was with a friend, and she come up with the notion that Clint Eastwood's speech was prepared because the chair was already out there. Like, somebody has to know, like, don't they have people to check that stuff?
Well, I was actually going to do a gag where I say we have a recording of his original speech. I was going to play something from Grandpa Simpson, and I forgot to load the clip into my box. I'm sorry. But no, because they were starstruck. It's like, oh my God, Clint Eastwood supporting us. They were just like, awesome. So no, he, as far as from what I heard, he just said, I need a chair. And they gave, so let that be learned the next time Clint Eastwood asks for a chair. You may want to
don't give him one.
That. Yeah, don't give him one. But anyway,
Could you guys come to my website, mclarissa.com? It is the Dominist Manifesto, a way to look at life through BDSM colored glasses, and it's another unique view of how to be.
Okay, so it was mistressclarissa1word.com?
Yes.
Okay. And of course, we have many other fine programs that we promote and, actively participate in. First, of course, our buddies on Radio Not. Mondays, 7 to 9 Eastern is Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean. Wednesdays, 7 to 10 Eastern is Talking Left with Shano and Danielle, wonderful people. Tuesdays and Fridays, Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick. And don't forget, he is now on terrestrial radio every Sunday night, 5 to 8 on VKO 1580, Columbus, Ohio. And of course, Nicole Sandler, every Monday through Thursday morning, 10 to noon Eastern. And of course, there's the Shannon Files every Thursday night. Is it 10 to 11, or are you guys a 2-hour show?
It's 9 to 10.
Okay. I keep thinking you guys are a 2 or 3-hour show, which explains why every time I come in, you're not.
Well, we
broadcasting.
We were. And then he had to, he's working nonstop. You know how the
I understand.
is, you got to work
Yeah.
nonstop.
No, I understand. It's just I was confused. So, the Shannon Files...
No, you weren't really. It was changed on you. It's a Dark City moment.
It happens. Darn it, where did I lose... of course, USAProgressive.com, Ray Medeiros. He doesn't do a podcast anymore, but he does record interviews. Fridays is AWOP Radio with Kim G. And of course, every Saturday night, we're going to be here, and I don't think we're going to be taking another break anytime soon. Or as we called it last show,
Vacani Moon.
We're not going to be doing that again because I mean, like the 1 week, the first week we take off, Aiken happens, Neil Armstrong dies. I don't want to become the Stephanie Miller where I go on break and all this news breaks. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
History's always happening.
Yeah, that's true. History's
always happening.
Anyway, let's
How about now? What about now?
Yeah, who knows? For all we know, someone important just died. Let's do parting shots real quick. Mr. Clarissa, what are your parting shots? What are your final thoughts before we tell our audience goodbye?
Well, parting shots are empower yourself. Stop looking to your Polly puppets and take full responsibility for the fight for yourself, your own rights, your freedoms, because they will take it away, and you can do this simply by how you shop. Do not buy their lies and do not buy their products. Remember, Koch brothers actually make Ronnie. Look who makes your food. Look at labels, and every time you say no to Kraft or Unilever or Monsanto, you are saying, fuck you. That's the equivalent of lobbing bombs to them, because money is more important. So take away the money and you free yourself from your chains. How's that?
Very good. War, you're up. Parting shot, please, sir. War. Oh no, I think he died from the vodka.
No, I was looking at something. I lost track.
It's like, medic! Parting shot, please, sir.
All I can say is that it's going to be an important election. I hope everybody actually does go out and vote for the person they want.
Yeah,
because from what I heard, it's going to be close, and that's frightening.
And I want to say this. I don't, well, of course I care about who you vote for, but I'm not going to stop you from voting if you vote for it. Just go out and vote. We need to stop with this less than half bullshit and just, vote! Okay. Parting shot, John, go!
I'd like to thank everybody for, having me on. Adam, thank you.
No problem.
It was a great time, and I hope to do it again soon. And,
sure. We're gonna we're gonna try and do we're gonna really try and do political science theater next week, and we're definitely gonna be doing it for the debates. So we really have to go. This is Adam Hebert with signing off with Mr. Thank you to all my guests, to all my listeners. You are the greatest. Thank you all.
Time for go to bed. Aye, 'tis late.